Hi, I'm Heidi Pfeiffer. I'm one of the ketogenic dietitians here at Boston Children's Hospital.
And I'm Sarah Bryce, the Program Manager of Culinary Services here at Boston Children's.
And today we're here to celebrate you and the terrific job you're doing on your ketogenic diet treatment.
And to celebrate you, we are going to be making a chocolate cupcake with chocolate ganache.
I'm excited to get started. Ready to go?
I'm so excited, yeah. So we're gonna start with our wet ingredients with a low pan. You can also do a microwave, but I highly recommend the pan. We're gonna turn this onto very low heat, and we're gonna start with our heavy cream, our butter, and our cream cheese. So make sure, as always, to use a rubber spatula to get every single bit of it, right, Heidi? So we're gonna add our butter in, scraping every little bit out. Cream cheese. There we go. And our heavy cream. And then we're just gonna let those melt together. It'll take a little bit longer for the cream cheese to go down. But once it's melted, then we are going to put our sour cream and chocolate chips into the mix.
And it's important when you're using the recipe with the brand names, because those are accounted for the protein, fat, and carbohydrates that can change the ratio up or down, depending on the amounts that are in there.
You can see there's still a little bit of chunks in here, but this is totally okay. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna add the sour cream. Again, scraping. And then we have our chocolate chips. So what I'm gonna do is quickly lower this heat a little more, and with the residual heat in the pan, it's gonna melt that sour cream in and the chocolate chips. And it smells really chocolatey already. I don't know if you can smell it. All right, and while I'm mixing this in, Heidi, if you could mix the dry ingredients together.
We've got the almond flour, we've got a little bit of the monk fruit, the baking powder, cocoa powder, and some salt. And if you don't have a whisk at home, you can always just use a fork to mix it together well.
And now that you have that all mixed, I am going to take this chocolate mixture and pour it into our bowl here. Again, scraping really well.
Melted chocolate is delicious.
And there is a little bit of bumps in there. That's totally fine. I'm gonna put this back here because it's hot. Now, we wanted this to cool down a little bit because we don't want our eggs to curdle when we add those in. So I'm gonna add the eggs now. And these are just whole eggs that have been whisked together. And then we're gonna add our vanilla extracts. And then we're gonna mix. Now you can use a whisk here too, or the rubber spatula is totally fine. We're actually gonna use that same fork that Heidi used to get everything well combined. And I just like to make sure that most of the egg, if not all, is in there, so it almost looks like it's all the same color. It looks a little tie-dye right now, and this is perfect. So if you, Heidi, want to dump that all in for me, all right, you can pour that in.
You need to make sure you're scraping all the ingredients out so everything is in that you've weighed out.
Then we're just gonna fold this in until it's combined. Sometimes the almond flour does clump up, and it's totally okay. Try to use your spatula or whisk to break it up, but if you get clumps, it's okay. It's still gonna taste delicious. And then Heidi is gonna set up the scale for us.
And now we're gonna weigh out each individual cupcake to 52 grams. And you can use silicone cups, parchment paper, or foil cups. And these are just so that the oil absorbs back into the cupcake so you get every last gram.
And our oven is on 350. So that's been preheating while we've been mixing this up. And we have some already measured cups. And right now for today, we're just gonna be doing 6 cupcakes. And then Sarah's gonna go ahead and put those in the oven. Now that those are in the oven, we're gonna make our ganache. We're gonna heat up our heavy cream, and I have chocolate here set aside. And what we're gonna do is bring this to a slight boil, it's gonna have a slight steam on top of the heavy cream. We don't want it overboiled because then it will curdle. While this comes to a steam, we have our chocolate here, which is a blend of milk and dark chocolate, and we found that it has the best flavor profile for that.
And the mixture of dark and chocolate amounts is based on the ratio also, so you should use the exact amounts of milk and dark chocolate.
So it just has some bubbles and there's some steam coming off of it. So we're gonna cut this heat. We're gonna carefully bring this over and we're gonna pour it right over the chocolate. And again, I think we've said this a million times, but you're gonna wanna scrape every last bit out. And the trick is with this is you're gonna wanna let this sit for a minute, and that's gonna help melt the chocolate. So then when you mix it, everything will be cohesive. So once it's sat for a little bit, you can take a whisk or you can take a spatula and you can just mix it really well. And it'll start looking like chocolate milk. Once it's completely mixed, we're gonna pop it in the fridge and let it sit for about 10-15 minutes until it's cool. And then once that's done, we are going to put it into a bowl, and you can use the stand mixer if you have one. And then you're gonna whip it until it creates a fluffy frosting.
If you don't have a stand mixer, you can always just whisk it with a hand whisk as well.
All right, so this looks pretty good. There's a little bit of chocolate on the bottom, but that's totally fine. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this aside and put it in the fridge, but I already have some done. Let me put this over here. And Heidi has my secret stash. So this has been sitting in the fridge for a little bit and it's cold to the touch. We're gonna put it in our larger bowl, scraping every last bit. All right. And then all you're gonna do is take your whisk and you're gonna whip it up. It will take a little bit of time if you're doing it by hand, but you don't wanna overmix, because what happens when you overmix heavy cream is it becomes butter. So you're just adding a little bit of air to it, and you just want it to have a little bit of a peak. So that is your perfect peak. That's kind of the consistency you want. If you go farther than this, it will become like butter. So you wanna stop here. You'd rather under whip it than over whip it.
Looks perfect.
So what we can do with this, you can do it two ways. You can use a scoop. You're gonna put your cupcake on the scale and you're gonna scoop on the amount that you need, or you can put it in a piping bag and pipe it on. Make sure you're always having that cupcake on the scale. So I'm gonna set this aside because I already have some in a piping bag ready for us.
So we're gonna put the cupcake on the scale and make sure we're zeroing it out so that when we're weighing the ganache that we're putting on top, the 16 grams, we know exactly how much is going on there, because we wanna make sure we know that the cupcake is a 2.14 ratio and the ganache is a 5.4 ratio, so that we have the combination of a 3-to-1 ratio.
Amazing. So I put some in the bag for you and I cut the tip off.
Perfect. So let's go and try to get this to 16 grams, and you can be as fancy as you want with this. Oh, there we go, 16 grams.
Perfect. That looks so good.
Delicious.
Thank you. And another hack for you is if you have these with little kids, you can add a rubber band to the top of your bag and then it won't come out the back.
Perfect.
So what I like to celebrate with is pizza.
I love pizza. And we've come up with some great recipes for different sauces like pesto and tomato sauce and a pink cream sauce. But in addition to all these fun recipes for pizza, with these cupcakes, if you make them ahead of time, you can freeze them up to 6 months as long as you wrap them tightly. But are you ready to try these cupcakes?
I need to try these. I am so excited. All right, ready? Cheers. This is really good.
So good.